name is Maitreya Dasa. Today I'm going to be answering a question on Ask Maitreya, asked by one of our fans, Claudia Reinhardt. Thank you very much, Claudia, for asking the nice question. So I'm just going to read Claudia's question all the way through, and then we can analyze a bit deeper. So she says, I just recently saw one of your posts about the actual price, and I felt very compelled because the economy today is something I'm worried about, namely the hoarding behavior of big companies and people who accumulate more riches than they could ever spend in 10 lifetimes, which seems to me quite irrational and counter-natural. The problem is, I really don't see how that could change soon, and with COVID, the tendency I observe is big companies surviving and small businesses going extinct. She said, I don't think I understand Prabhupada's explanation. Now, what is Prabhupada's explanation? Let's go to the quote that I originally posted. So here Srila Prabhupada is explaining why the current system of economics, the capitalist society that we all live in, is broken and exploitative. And he also gives a solution how people can make a better economic system. Srila Prabhupada says, that will be good for the people. Large-scale transaction is there, therefore the capitalists are hoarding. Capitalists are hoarding. Goods are there. Everything is there. You pay black price, you get it. Then when somebody's hoarding, he's not giving to the market. So if the large-scale industry and trade becomes stopped, that is good for the people. So let's just break it down a little bit. Prabhupada says, because large-scale transaction is there, therefore capitalists are hoarding. Capitalists are hoarding. Goods are there, everything is there. Right? Goods, right? Let's say foods. Food is actually everywhere. You can grow food anywhere. But because people are willing to pay larger amounts for food just for the convenience of not having to grow themselves, and for that convenience sake, you pay a lot more for the foods, and the company can charge more. They can charge a black price, like Srila Prabhupada says here. This is because they're able to purchase the goods in large quantity and hoard because they have inflated currency. They have more money than they actually have. The current system of finance works that we have an amount of gold in the bank of a country, and then we can print money because we have that gold in the bank. But actually, we're printing more money than we have worth gold in the bank. The money is like an IOU. $1,000 is actually not $1,000. It's just a piece of paper. It's actually worthless. It represents the gold that I'll be able to give you, the government will be able to give you in the future. But actually, ultimately, at this point in time, it's just a piece of paper. So this is a cheating system. Therefore, companies that have lots of paper money, however worthless it may be, ultimately, they're able to use that to purchase goods, and then they can sell them back to you at an inflated value. Then Srila Prabhupada, he gives the explanation how to solve this problem. Jagajivana, a disciple of Srila Prabhupada, asks, does that mean the same amount of gold is there? Prabhupada says, no, larger scale. Suppose if you want to say, store 1,000 kilos or 1,000 bags of rice, so you have to pay me the gold, but you have no such gold. Therefore, large-scale industry will be stopped. Just see. So this is very interesting. If a gold standard is applied and we deal with gold instead of money, which is a paper money, which is representing how much gold is actually in the bank rather than the gold itself, then you'll only be able to buy however much goods that you have in gold. And because gold is more valuable, there's less of it. Therefore, people will not be able to buy unreasonable amounts of good with inflated cash money. They can only pay with how much gold they have. For example, if you wanted to, like Prabhupada says here, buy 1,000 bags of rice in our current system, you can do that. You just give them $1,000 of paper money. But to get 1,000 bits of gold, 1,000 whatever nuggets of gold, that's far harder. Therefore, companies cannot hoard. Karandara, another disciple of Srila Prabhupada, he says, then the price of rice would go very low. And Prabhupada replies that yes, then you would get the actual price and actual value. Goods are there, any part of the world, there is enough commodity. But these rascals, they are hoarding, they are not giving right time, so people are suffering. There's enough rice for everybody, but because the companies buy it with their inflated money, then they can sell it back to you because they have a monopoly on it. You can't get the rice. Then they sell you the rice for something which is an extortionate price. But if we use gold, the company can only buy as much rice as they have in gold. And when you buy the rice, you're not buying with inflated money which disturbs the economy. You're buying however much you can afford in gold. Therefore, actual price and actual value. Nothing is an IOU. Nothing's up in the air. Nothing is inflated, right? And nobody's hoarding. So this is the perfect fix, the gold standard. But ultimately, we shouldn't be really much concerned with how to fix this current economic system. There's a much better way of living, and Srila Prabhupada explains that in the next quote. Yes, whatever it may be, we should be satisfied locally by our food, by our cloth, by our milk. That's all. Let the whole world go to hell. We don't care. If you want to save yourself also, you do this. Here is an example, just see. If you want artificial life, city life, hellish life, you do. But we shall live like this. This is the ideal life. So Prabhupada here is very nicely explaining that the farm is the perfect system for simple living and high thinking. This is the actual way how to get by without buying into this current system where we think we have to run in the rat race, work very hard, and then get products sold to us by companies who are simply charging an extortion amount for their sense gratification. Actually, all the commodities, everything we need for life, like Prabhupada says here, are food, right? We need food to survive, to eat. Everyone needs food. Our cloth, we all need cloth to cover the body, to keep ourselves warm, protected from the elements. And by milk, you need milk to nourish the brain substance so you can understand spiritual life. These three things, including shelter, are very essential. And apart from that, you actually don't need anything. Everything else is an artificial necessity. We don't need these iPhones or these big fancy cars or any of this. This is very unnecessary. Actually, we can get by on very little and focus more on the spiritual side of life, right? So actually, this is what the Bliss is doing now. We're also trying to invest in a farm community, a farm project by which we can become self-sufficient. We don't have to rely on exploitative materialism. We can live very simply, devote our time to Krishna consciousness, and survive on what the land provides and what is already there in nature. We simply think that we have to get it in this current capitalistic way. So we encourage everyone to take up to the varnashrama or farm lifestyle that Srila Prabhupada here is recommending. And like Srila Prabhupada says, if you don't like it, when we have the example, people are living in Vedic times, this was the system, this was a successful way of life for many millions of years. We have the information from the Vedic scriptures, and we can see practically now, also by logic, this is a very perfect way of living. If you don't like this, okay, then you can go and live in a materialistic city, continue to try and battle with this exploitative system, but it will never be successful. And ultimately, even if it is successful, it doesn't solve the problems of life. You might make the perfect economic system, but if you can't focus on getting out of the cycle of birth and death, perfecting your consciousness, realizing the self, then all this economic development is a waste of time. Prabhupada actually says, the lamentation due to material existence cannot be counteracted by an accumulation of wealth and economic development. In many parts of the world, there are states which are replete with all the facilities of life, which are full of wealth and are economically developed, yet the lamentation caused by material existence is still present. That's from the Bhagavad Gita, 2nd chapter, 8th verse. So we can see in so many areas of the world, so many cities of the world, people are fabulously wealthy. In Dubai, people drink liquid gold like it's water. I don't know, it's ridiculous things. I can't think of something off the top of my head that's how they spend money so lavishly. But still, because they have no time for spiritual life, because they're working so hard in this particular system of economics, this rat race, and they have no knowledge of the soul and of Krishna, and they don't ever try to inquire about these things, still, it doesn't matter how developed they are, how big their skyscrapers are, ultimately will all fall, just like the body will fall, this temporary material body. Everything, all these systems that we try to make to fix our problems of life, like a patchwork, they will never be effective. The only effective thing to do then is to accept a bona fide spiritual master and actually understand what life is really all about, rather than these lies that we're fed, that I have to work very hard, I have to maintain my body and gratify my senses, and that's all. Actually, that is not what life's about. Life is about understanding who you are, understanding your relationship with God. These things can be only understood if we accept a bona fide spiritual master. Not only that, but we'll be able to understand how to properly operate even in the material world. Srila Prabhupada gives solutions to the material issues as well as the spiritual mysteries. So Srila Prabhupada's books are here for everybody. Everybody can take advantage of the vibration of a pure devotee, try to understand this great philosophy, and make your life perfect. We recommend that everyone try for farm life, independent means, self-sufficiency, simple living, high thinking. Most importantly, we recommend that people chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Right? By chanting this mantra, which connects you directly to God, you realize that the self is Satchidananda, which means blissful, eternal, and full of knowledge. The self is Atma Rama, which means it's self-satisfied. Because the soul or the self is part and parcel of God, you don't need anything else. Krishna is the controller of everything, the source of everything. He is supplying necessities to all living creatures, no matter how big or small they are. We simply have to rely on God and nature. So if we take to this independent, self-sufficient way of living, farm life, simple living, high thinking, we can be actually happy. And we don't have to be entangled in this material system of exploiting one another. Even if we were to perfect that system, we still would never be happy until we were to revive our relationship with Krishna. So we encourage everyone to accept a bona fide spiritual master. Srila Prabhupada is that bona fide spiritual master, and to make a perfection of your life instead of worrying about what will happen to the world in so many years, what will the economy be like, how to fix this economy. These things are not so much important. Instead, we should focus on the real thing, Krishna consciousness. So, Hare Krishna, thank you very much, Claudia, for asking a nice question. I hope this answered it sufficiently. If anybody else has a question they'd like to ask, please drop it in the comment section of this video, or direct message me on Facebook, or send it to the Expand the Bliss Facebook page. Hare Krishna. Thank you very much for watching. All glories to Srila Prabhupada.